All right, welcome. Today we're doing a special kind of explainer. We're not digging into data, we're digging into a dungeon. We're going to break down one single, incredibly intense expedition into an ancient tomb. It's a gripping story of adventure, danger, and some truly legendary discovery. Okay, let's get right into it. And we're dropping you right into the action with this quote, because it just perfectly sums up the first big battle. Look, this was not some clean, easy fight. Every single step forward, every inch of ground they gained, they paid for it in blood, in sweat, in magic. These adventurers were up against something ancient, incredibly powerful, and just utterly relentless. So who were these guardians? Well, the first challenge was this just brutal brawl against a bunch of magical constructs. We're talking a hasted clay golem that could just shrug off the cold, and these amber golems that were radiating an aura that physically slowed our adventurers down. Imagine that. Your limbs feel like lead right when you need to be at your fastest. Now, at the very center of the storm of fists and magic, you've got Helga. You got to think of her as the team's anchor. While everybody else is trying to maneuver and stay alive, she is right there in the thick of it, trading these massive hits with an adamantine war pick, just holding the line against impossible odds. The source material even mentions this moment where, in all the chaos, her staff slips and nearly skewers one of her teammates. I mean, that's how desperate this fight really was. So while Helga is holding the line, Gork and Orin were all about disassembly. This wasn't just wild swinging, we're talking surgical precision here. Gork was literally drilling into this clay groot with his javelin, while Orin was using these precious, super powerful adamantine rounds to find and just shatter the weak points in the construct's armor. They were the focused, targeted damage the team absolutely had to have. And none of it would have worked without Quinn and Lucian. They were the real engine of the party. Quinn wasn't really trading blows, but was more like dancing out of reach, just a flash of movement, drawing all the fire. And Lucian? Man, he was the linchpin. He was repeatedly using his magic to get rid of that crippling slowness that was hitting Helga, basically keeping his friends on their feet when they should have gone down. And the stakes here? They could not have been higher. This was a brutal back and forth. The golems weren't just big obstacles, they were devastating. One of them hammered Quinn to the very brink of consciousness, while another one landed a critical hit on Orin, putting him flat on the stone floor until Lucian could literally force a healing potion down his throat. This was a fight they were dangerously close to losing. But they won, and with that last guardian shattered into pieces, the challenge shifted completely. The tomb was done testing their strength, their brawn. Now it was time to test their minds. The path forward was barred by puzzles, a total switch from a test of muscle to a test of brain power. So the first one was this big dragon-carved door with a simple but potentially deadly riddle. Feed it and it flourished, starve it and it perished. So what could that be? It's not food, it's not gold. Lucian, the team's magic expert, he figures it out. The answer was something much more elemental. He just poured a little lantern oil in his hand, sparked a small flame, and offered it to the door. And the door accepted it, inhaling the heat and grinding open. Pretty clever. The second puzzle, though, a little more complex. It's a wall of letters with clues talking about twins. And that word, twins, that was the key. It led the team to start searching for letters that were mirrored on the grid. They carefully traced the path between these mirrored pairs, and by doing so, spelled out the final word of passage, threshold. And as they spoke that word aloud, the stone just parted. And the reward for all their struggle, all that fighting, all that thinking was finally revealed. The whole tone shifts here, from tension and intellect to just pure, unfiltered awe. They'd found it. The treasure chamber. This wasn't a story anymore. It was a legend made real. I mean, the room was filled with drifts of coins, chests overflowing with jewels, but right there, in the very center, was the ultimate prize. A golden sarcophagus, marked with the symbol of an axe. This was it, the tomb of the dwarven king himself, Kildrak Stormforge. So, after carefully checking for any lingering undead magic, they lifted the lid. And bam! The trap was sprung. The second that sarcophagus was opened, that massive dragon door they came in through began to grind shut. That moment of triumph just vanished, replaced by pure, adrenaline-fueled panic. The tomb was giving up its treasure all right, but it was going to demand a price. The whole tempo just shifted instantly. Time became sharp. It wasn't about careful exploration anymore. It was a frantic, high-speed scramble. The team immediately split up, one grabbing armor, another grabbing axes, another jewels, just anything they could carry, all while Quinn is shouting out warnings about how fast that gap is closing. They sprinted, arms totally full, and just barely slipped through as the stone door sealed behind them with this deafening boom. So, you have to ask, was it worth the risk? Let's take a look at the haul. They escaped with a full suit of legendary adamantine plate armor, a great axe and a battleaxe, priceless jewelry, and entire chests just overflowing with emeralds, rubies, and diamonds. An absolutely staggering fortune, all won in a matter of seconds. In the echoing silence after that mad dash, the team finally took a breath, a really hard-earned rest to bind up their wounds, calm their frayed nerves, and just take stock of both their incredible spoils and the scars they earned getting them. But their victory, it wasn't an ending. See, while they gained legendary items and a king's ransom and gems, they also uncovered brand new dangers. Two major threats are now looming. First, there's a grim clock ticking. Those shattered golems they fought, they're going to reform in 24 hours. And second, they've discovered a new, rough tunnel, not dwarven-made, but claw-dug, spiraling even deeper into the dark. Which leaves us with the final, tantalizing question, doesn't it? They have the treasure they came for, a prize beyond imagination, but they are still deep underground, with their old foes literally rebuilding behind them, and some new, unknown horror stirring just ahead. With fortunes won and new dangers revealed, what in the world awaits them in the dark?